Rajim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. All the praise and thanks are due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And salutation upon Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and all the prophets that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent for human guidance. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We've just ended the year 2018 this week, and it really strikes me as to how the year began and what it turned out to be. It literally flew past, and it's difficult even to remember the moments that happened in that year. What's very striking is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes an oath against this very phenomenon. By an oath, what is meant is a testimonial oath. Like when you go to court, you swear by the Constitution or the Bible or the Quran, you bear testimony to the truth of something great. And in this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bears testimony to the flight of time. In Arabic, this is Asr, or as the oath states, Wala Asr. And I think we're very familiar with the surah, Wala Asr. And this is an oath, a testimonial oath that Allah takes about time. So the question is the flight of time a good or bad thing? They say when time flies, you're having a good time. So maybe it's not so bad after all. The answer to the question is really about the perspectives that are taken. From a very material and physical perspective, it may well be fantastic, it may be great. You may have been given a promotion, your business might have been expanded, you got a fantastic deal in 2018, maybe you moved to a new home, new school, new business, maybe there was an addition in your family, a baby. So there's nothing really particularly wrong with these new developments or positive developments. However, coming back to Surah Al-Asr, it is striking that this mighty testimony on the flight of time taken by the Almighty is qualified. And this qualification is a blanket and total negative. So we say, Wala Asr, Innal insana lafi khusr. Indeed, Innal insan, indeed humankind, lafi khusr, la is a form of intensity, lafi khusr, there is in loss. So after taking into consideration this rapid flight of time, 2018 is basically gone. Maybe 20, 30, 40, 50 years of your life has passed. The truth of this reality bears testimony that all of humankind is in loss. Remember what I said earlier? It is about the perspective, or the lens through which we see things. If we use a red lens, or we have a filter on our lens, even white becomes red, blood red. So it all depends on our perspective. So could 2018 have been a loss, as Allah declares that it's a loss for everyone? But you may argue that you had a fantastic year, you might have made a killing this year. Fundamentally, it boils down to purpose. If, for example, a person is a human rights lawyer, and he made a massive profits on the stock market, he hasn't succeeded in his purpose as a human rights lawyer. You could have a ward councillor and he starts a new business in a fancy location. That's not the ward councillor's purpose, right? So it's really around the purpose and achievement and what really counts. And when we think of what really counts, it is a strange question. And even a more difficult one for people who are born Muslim, which is the majority of us today. If you were to ask, what is your purpose or objective of life? Why are you here? One may argue career, wealth, happiness, family, social status, all the things that we love. But the answer is a very different answer from the Quran and what Allah instructs. And it's an ayah that I think should be written in every home as you enter the front door. And it says, وَمَا خَلَقْتَ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala declares, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ I have not created jinns and men illa, except with a primary purpose, illa li ya'budun, that they may serve him. So that's really how the score sheet works. It's not about career, wealth, happiness, your family life, your social status. It is li ya'budun. So that's the balance sheet and what really counts. So when we look at the question around 2018 and ask the question again, how was your 2018? لِيَعْبُدُونَ, for the service of Allah. Then the story might change quite dramatically. What have we done to serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And service is a very broad term. Looking after your family could be part of service. We know of the 5 pillars of Islam, fasting, Hajj, Zakah, etc. What's important to appreciate is that pillars need a foundation. And the foundation fundamentally is on one hand taqwa, and that taqwa is supposed to drive abd, servitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is really what should be the underlying driving force and purpose of everything and anything that we do. And if this foundation is not there, then we are actually on rocky ground. And what's important to appreciate is that there is no supplementary examination. This is the exam. So just for a moment, just to stop, for many of us, years have passed by. We may have started on the wrong footing, but it's never too late. If you look at the examples of the Sahaba of the Prophet ﷺ, they had accepted Islam at much later points in life, and a fantastic life that followed afterwards, but their past was written off. When we look at life, obviously, like I mentioned, decades might have passed, but some have just in school, and some have just passed their matric exam. This latest cohort of matriculants, particularly our Muslim students, they actually start their careers today. And this Surah Al-Asr is probably the most important surah for them to bear in mind as the decades go by, in whatever path they choose. The trajectory that they choose today will end up where those that are 40, 50, 60 today sit today and reflect on their past. So this is a very important juncture in their lives. And Surah Asr makes an important point around how you set your trajectory to make sure that when you look back 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, your balance sheet, the correct balance sheet, looks much better. Right. So, whether you're a recent matriculant or a grandfather for that matter, life is all about time. The time ahead, and ultimately whether the time was well spent to reach the final destination, which should be Al-Jannah. When we think of time, there are 2 critical components about time. One is space or place, and the second is activity. It's amazing. Einstein's greatest thing was to put space and time together, and he called it space-time. And that's what made him great, right? And it's not just about time, it's about the space in which you are and the activity that takes place in that environment. And when we look at time and space, this could be divided into your routine activities and your free time. And in one of the very early revelations to the Prophet ﷺ in Surah Muzammil, he was received revelation in the first year, very challenging time. You need to survive, yet you've got a mission to do for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala answers this feeling of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And we read in Surah Muzammil, إِنَّ لَكَ فِي النَّهَارِ سَبْحًا طَوِيلًا. Allah acknowledges, true there is for you by day prolonged occupation with ordinary duties. We all have our ordinary duties. We have work, we have school, we have meetings, other things that we may be working at home. So we all have our ordinary duties. And the verse follows and says, وَاذْكُرِ اسْمَ رَبِّكَ فَتَبَتَّلْ إِلَيْهِ تَبْتِيلًا. But keep in remembrance the name of your Lord and devote yourself to Him wholeheartedly. So despite the difficulties and challenges of daily life, we still expected to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And to devote our entire lives to Him in whatever way we can, either through ordinary duties or in spare time. And another early surah, Alam Nashrah, we often read, the last few verses, verse 7 and 8, فَإِذَا فَرَقْتَ فَانْسَبْ وَإِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ فَارْغَبْ, which translates as follows: therefore, when you are free from your immediate task, still labor hard, and to your Lord turn all your attention. So the recognition of our ordinary duties, but also appreciating that everyone has free time after the immediate duties. The advice given here is, once we are done with our core duties, what is next? Still labor hard and turn our attention to our Creator, to serve Him. This does seem a difficult task. Life is quite hectic. We all need leisure time, space time. Isn't that true? However, again, it comes back to the issue of perspective. I suppose the real question is, what is life? Is it a destination or a journey? Life is really short. It's actually a short exam. When you think of the term khuld in the Quran, khuld is from eternity, millennia, thousands and thousands of years. And you become inheritors of Al-Jannah, or, if the unfortunate, thousands and thousands of years of Jahannam. So when we look at life and we want leisure, it is true that we need a break, but we also need to be cognizant. Allah SWT says, وَاذْكُرِ اسْمَ رَبِّكَ, remember your Lord. And the other one, وَإِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ فَارْغَبْ, be dedicated to your Lord. So even if it means spending quality time with your children, whether it is trying to become more charitable, those are core qualities that really need to define our life on earth, because life is a test, it's an exam. We live for 60 years, but the outcome is thousands of years. So we're sitting in this exam period, we've got a 2-hour paper, and this is life. And we need to really think of life in that perspective. So coming back to the issue of space and time, and briefly about our free time. Where do we spend most of our free time? Do we spend it at home, in the shopping centers, restaurants, cafes, coffee shops, movie theaters? But in reality, these spaces are probably more liabilities on our balance sheet than things that are going to take us to Jannah and pass this exam. And the second question is, what are the activities that we involved with in our free time? Passive entertainment, spending money on personal luxuries, eating and eating and eating, enjoying all the delicacies of life, going on, all forms of entertainment. But what we also need to bear in mind that life is also a war. It's actually a war. There's 2 important ayahs to remember about life. The one is where Shaitan speaks after he's been cast out in Surah 4, Surah Nisa. Shaitan makes a promise to Allah: I will mislead them and I will create in them false desires. He creates our desires. He makes us wish and want. And the second statement, he says, Shaitan makes them a promise and creates them in false desires. But Shaitan's promises are nothing but deception. So we need to also be cognizant that there is a deception that occurs in our life. And again, how do we perceive life? The second and most striking ayah is in Surah 78, Surah Naba, the last para. Inna Jahannama kanat mirsada. Truly hell is a place of ambush. So we see that Shaitan is warring against us. We see hell as an ambush hiding to catch us. And I think when we think of free time, we need to also be very cognizant that it's not technically free time, it's exam time. And we really need to think carefully about how we spend time, money and effort in those periods that we have available. We'll be going back to our ordinary duties in a week or 2. But we also need to bear in mind those Allah recognizes and appreciates. But we need to think of those things as how do we make life better for others. That's how we serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the second is that we do have free time. We have lots of free time. We have weekends, we have nights. And how do we spend a lot of that? But also the other thing I'd like to highlight to this audience today is that we don't really have to feel that bad. I know we're all feeling guilty right now about this concern about how we deal with our free time and leisure time. But the second ayah in the verse said, إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ. So we're not alone in this failure, in this loss. All of humanity faces the same problem constantly. And the solution is just in one ayah, the third ayah. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ, except those. Now they give certain qualities. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. This masjid is named Al-Asr after the surah because it's supposed to be a reminder about these four qualities. It's a very short surah. And really, if we want to be, not to be of the losing team, and nobody likes to be of the losing team, then it's إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. So when we're looking at an individual level, belief is really about our mindset. You know, when you convert into a business, you're going to pump this year. Or you're going to, find the greatest discovery. It's a belief. And when we have this belief about Allah and the mission that we're here with, it's about the mindset. And it's those that have the right, powerful mindset in determination in serving Allah that will finally succeed. The second is وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ, doing good deeds. So again, looking at place and activity, should the mosque be our common starting point? Being with family and friends, being healthy, reading, viewing, supporting public benefit organizations that do charitable work, visit orphanages. Brother Kothar has been doing some great work visiting the elderly in our community, going to orphanages, fixing up the Qurans on the shelf. That's really fantastic, small efforts of deeds. That's Amil al-Salihat. I know we all have gadgets on our hands every day. It's like we can't just leave them. But we're on Facebook and on Twitter and all the other kinds of stuff. And at least be active on Facebook for a good cause. So when you see the boycott disinvestments program by the BDS movement for Palestine, like them, support them. If you see people speaking against Islam on Facebook, defend your faith. Encourage the truth. So use your devices effectively, and you could use your time more effectively. The second part of the verse uses the word, a different form of Arabic. وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. The word tawasaw refers to not individual activities but collective activities. Allah specifically gives you an instruction about individual behavior, and then tawasaw, to do things together, mutually. And the two qualities are وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ and وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. So the two qualities that we need to galvanize together to achieve is the aspects of haqq and sabr. And if you think of why it's so important, is that if you're in a war, a single soldier is dead. You'll never survive. But if you collectively work as a team, you've got a far greater chance of winning this exam. You have this laser tag or paintball. You need to think of it in that way. You collectively work as a team. And what is this teamwork supposed to be about? It's about the truth. How much of it do we know? Have we spent effort and time in knowing this truth, knowing the Quran, knowing the example of the Prophet's companions and how they established the righteous life, the beneficial life rather, for humanity? And the second is joining together with sabr. And sabr really, we often think of it as patience, but it's actually constancy, and really about being persistent about what we do. And our biggest failure, when we look back in the previous year or the year before, we make resolutions and we never fulfill them. And that's because we don't have support groups. And here we've been told to support one another with sabr, with constancy. So, team up. If you're missing a fajr, team up. Find someone to buddy with you. If you're lazy to go and do activities like with Kothar, he's leading it. Say, I'll join Saturday, Sunday, let me know what time, put me on your group. And that way you collectively joining together in this persistence in doing good work. So when we look back at 2018, there might be a lot of failures, a lot of lack of success in the true perspective. But when we look at 2019, there's great opportunity. It's really about the mindset that we set for the coming year. And about being consistent in what we do. Trying to really change our mindsets through reading the Quran more often. and just changing our habits and behaviors. The simple choice of smiling at brothers, greeting them nicely at least, helping out a little bit more at home than you did last year, doing a regular donation, making sure that if you use Facebook or whatever else you use, that you make sure that you basically like or encourage others to support good causes, not just Palestinian causes, but you find people trying to save the planet. You find, pollution in the world. Like and support those groups and become more active in that way. I think we need to be careful about the balance sheet for 2019. And Asr, when we think of the Mosque Al-Asr, it should remind us of these qualities, of the 4 qualities I've mentioned today. So Jazakallah, we hope that inshallah 2019 will bring us a lot of success in many new dimensions, not just materially as well. Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.